Alright guys, let's get started with the proofreading part 2. 5 elements of malicious prosecution. The first element of malicious prosecution is present. The very second, defendant Officer McGee Powell initiated an unlawful retaliatory arrest of plaintiff Mr. Kennedy for him exercising his First Amendment right. Defendant Officer Zermino and Defendant Supervisory Officer Hernandez both also initiated unlawful malicious prosecution against plaintiff Mr. Kennedy by assisting in and then continuing the unlawful retaliatory arrest. And or then. Let's put and or. Okay, let's do that. And or then. Continuing the unlawful arrest. The second element of malicious prosecution is present as soon as the charge of trespassing was dismissed on February 6, 2025 by the Galveston County Criminal Court at Law Number 1, citing unable to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Basically a lack of evidence. The second element of malicious prosecution is again present on May 29th when the charge of disorderly conduct was dismissed by the J.P. Court of Galveston County Precinct 2, citing prosecutorial discretion. The third element of malicious prosecution, probable cause for the charge of trespass, was lost as soon as the facts of plaintiff Mr. Kennedy being on legitimate business was established, an appointment with my wife. As well as the plaintiff, Mr. Kennedy, was actually invited and was with a UTMB patient care advocate in her private office, mind you, when the police made contact. And then again, when the dismissal citing lack of evidence as far as the disorderly conduct, the evidence of no probable cause is apparent when defendant Officer McGee Powell called back to the UHC clinic and unlawfully solicited a complaint over an hour after the fact. And then again with the dismissal on May 29, 2025 by the J.P. Court. The fourth element of malicious prosecution. Defendant Officer McGee Powell, out of anger for the lawful redress by plaintiff Mr. Kennedy and then the lawful redress by plaintiff Ms. Bynum, did in fact cause defendant Officer McGee Powell to act with actual malice with a retaliatory arrest and charging Mr. Kennedy with trespass, okay? It pissed her off. She was mad. Guaranteed. To further cause plaintiff Mr. Kennedy harm by preventing plaintiff Mr. Kennedy from being able to instantly bond out, by requiring plaintiff Mr. Kennedy to see a magistrate for a bond hearing, prolonging Mr. Kennedy's time in jail for a credit of 2 calendar days. Defendant Officer McGee Powell further acted with malice by charging the separate charge of disorderly conduct in a different court, originally located in Santa Fe, Texas, to further harm plaintiff Mr. Kennedy by causing plaintiff Mr. Kennedy even more inconvenience by forcing plaintiff Mr. Kennedy to commute to Santa Fe when plaintiff Mr. Kennedy lives in and all alleged offenses occurred in Galveston city limits, not in Santa Fe. Okay, there was somewhere up there I wanted to put a comma. I should have stopped and did it, but I forgot. It's made it even more inconvenience. But that's alright, we'll leave it as good. To further harm plaintiff Mr. Kennedy and prove malice, defendant Officer McGee Powell on all official documents listed plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's home address as, oh no, look at there. Damn, oh well, it is what it is, okay? In spite of having plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's license to carry a handgun that clearly states 3201 Avenue Class, plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's address. So all correspondence concerning this unlawful retaliatory arrest would be sent to the wrong address in an attempt to cause plaintiff Mr. Kennedy to fail to appear. Well, I done doxed myself pretty good right there, but it is what it is. You can get it all off the line anyway. Okay? But again, she had my license to carry a handgun. I'm licensed to carry a handgun. She had that, okay? She had that, got my clear address on it, which I just had it renewed after I got all this dismissed. After it was all dismissed, I had it renewed, okay? Now, but the point is, she had my clear address right here, and she sent all the correspondence from the court was sent there, okay? I don't even talk to my sister. My sister lives in, I don't even talk to them, okay? I don't talk to them at all. I don't go to the house of the devil at all, okay? At any rate, I digress. The fifth element of malicious prosecution, actual damages include but are not limited to plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's confinement in the Galveston County Jail for several hours resulting in a credit for 2 calendar days. Damages to plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's mental and physical health and reputation. Monetary damages by bonds and attorney fees. Damages to plaintiff Miss Bynes' mental and physical health by causing plaintiff Miss Bynes extreme fear and concern. Let me go ahead and put that right there so people can take a break, get a breath, by removing plaintiff Miss Bynes' only trained caregiver for several hours, okay, resulting in 2 calendar days. After attempting to kidnap plaintiff Miss Bynes and unlawfully force Miss Bynes to accept medical care from a doctor plaintiff Miss Bynes with good reason does not trust without her husband, caregiver, and protector being present. Okay, that's the 5 elements of malicious prosecution. Okay, key constitutional violations documented. Okay. Defendants, while acting under color of state law, violated plaintiff's clearly established rights under the United States Constitution, including First Amendment by retaliating against plaintiffs for engaging in protected speech and verbal criticism of police conduct. Fourth Amendment by subjecting plaintiffs to unlawful seizure, false arrest, excessive force, and unreasonable searches and unlawful detention without probable cause. 14th Amendment by depriving plaintiffs of liberty without due process of law and by engaging in arbitrary and conscience-shocking behavior. Okay, the shocking behavior, I got another word for it, it's egregious. It was egregious, okay? Plaintiff further alleged the defendant's conduct violated provisions of the Texas State Constitution, including Article 1, Sections 3, 8, 9, and 19, which are pleaded as background and evidence of unlawful conduct, not as independent causes of action for damages. Okay, claims against defendants, count 1. Okay. Plaintiff restates and incorporates by reference every allegation set forth as well as every prior allegation. At all times relevant herein, all defendants were acting under the color of state law. As soon as defendant officer McGee Powell made contact with the plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, and plaintiff Mr. Kennedy spoke to defendant officer McGee Powell in his normal everyday tone of voice, using normal everyday language with no profanity. After plaintiff Mr. Kennedy had just hugged defendant officer Zarmino, defendant officer McGee Powell violated plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's state constitutional guarantee under Article 1, Section 3, the equal rights, as well as Article 1, Section 8 of the Texas State Constitution, the right of speech, as well as Mr. Kennedy's First Amendment right guaranteed by the United States Constitution, by defendant officer McGee Powell telling Mr. Kennedy, if you do not lower your voice, I am going to arrest you. Okay, fact, not fiction. Alright. By defendant officer McGee Powell unlawfully arresting plaintiff Mr. Kennedy out of retaliation for hurting her feelings in her personal capacity by exercising his First Amendment right, and charging plaintiff Mr. Kennedy with trespass, when under the same circumstances most are escorted off the property and released. Defendant officer McGee Powell violated Mr. Kennedy's state constitutional right of freedom and equal rights and freedom of speech guaranteed under Article 1, Section 3, as well as Article 1, Section 8, and the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, the freedom of free speech. They understand this is just the one count. We're going to go on to the other offenses. This is just the first offense, and each one's going to be basically the same, okay? Defendant Supervisory Officer Hernandez, by his inactions and or assistance to Defendant Officer McGee Powell, Defendant Officer Hernandez did in fact violate plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's guarantee under Article 1, Section 3, Article 1, Section 8 of the Texas State Constitution, as well as plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's First Amendment right guaranteed by the United States. Defendant Officer Zarmino, by her inactions and or assistance to Defendant Officer McGee Powell, Officer Zarmino did in fact violate plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's guarantee under First Section 3, Article 1, Section 8, Texas State Constitution, well, plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's First Amendment right guaranteed by the United States Constitution. Okay? Also, lenders. I need to put lenders in there. I might have to come back and add a few more in here because I ain't even got my wife's in here, man, because by arresting me, man. Let me see. She's probably gonna be in there. Okay. Count 1. Violation of guaranteed vehicle rights and the right of freedom of speech. Okay. Yeah, she's probably gonna be in there somewhere, I'm sure. Plaintiff restates and incorporates count 2. Violations of the right to be secure in your person, papers, and effects. Pretty sure she's in here now. Hopefully she is. If she ain't, I'm gonna have to come back and rewrite it. Plaintiff restates and incorporates by reference every allegation set forth as well as every prior allegation. At all times relevant herein, all defendants were acting under the color of state law, Texas state law. By defendant Officer McGee Powell unlawfully arrested plaintiff Mr. Kennedy out of retaliation for her, defendant Officer McGee Powell's feelings in her personal capacity by exercising his First Amendment right, by and with the physical assault of detention and with the extensive search of plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, defendant Officer McGee Powell has now violated plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's God-given right to be secure in his person, papers, and effects, guaranteed by the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution. Here we go, here we go. I'm glad she's in there. By defendant Officer McGee Powell unlawfully arrested plaintiff Miss Bynes' husband and caregiver plaintiff Mr. Kennedy out of retaliation for Mr. Kennedy hurting her feelings in her personal capacity as a police officer by exercising his First Amendment right of redress. Defendant Officer McGee Powell has now removed plaintiff Miss Bynes' sole caregiver, protector, and advocate, causing plaintiff Miss Bynes extreme panic, violating plaintiff Miss Bynes' right. Okay, we need to change this just a little bit. Okay, redress, and then Miss Bynes doing the same with her First Amendment right of redress. And then plaintiff is Bynes doing the same with her right of redress. Really making, really extreme. So let's reread it. By defendant Officer McGee Powell unlawfully arrested plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's Bynes' husband, or plaintiff Miss Bynes' husband and caregiver plaintiff Mr. Kennedy out of retaliation for Mr. Kennedy hurting her feelings and, okay. Let's go. We're going to have to change that too because, you know, we're dealing with educated idiots and they'll say, who is her? We got it up here too somewhere, man. Hey. By defendant Officer McGee Powell unlawfully arrested plaintiff Miss Bynes' husband and caregiver, plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, out of retaliation for hurting defendant Officer McGee Powell's feelings in her professional capacity as a police officer by exercising his First Amendment right of redress, and then plaintiff Miss Bynes doing the same with her right of redress, causing defendant Officer McGee Powell extreme anger in her professional Hey, see what this does? Let me just cut this right here because if I don't, it will stay there. Okay, then 2 F's, 1 S, and an E. No, all right. Just the E was wrong. Okay. Alright, now let's try that again. By defendant Austin McGee Powell unlawfully arresting plaintiff Miss Bynes' husband and caregiver, plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, out of retaliation for plaintiff Mr. Kennedy hurting defendant Austin McGee Powell's feelings in her professional capacity as a police officer by exercising his First Amendment right of redress, and then plaintiff Miss Bynes doing the same with her right of redress, causing defendant Austin McGee Powell extreme anger in her professional capacity as a police officer. Defendant Austin McGee Powell has now removed plaintiff Miss Bynes' sole caregiver, has now unlawfully removed Miss Bynes' sole caregiver, protector, and advocate, causing plaintiff Miss Bynes extreme panic, violating plaintiff Miss Bynes' right to feel secure in her person. I need to hurry up and get this done because I need to print it out because I got the next 2 days, I got something to do. I want to print this out. I want to kind of get it to the defendants as soon as possible, tell them it's an amended copy of the actual complaint going to be filed against them, so they will understand that even though I put it the professional and the state listed in the letter of demand, I'm not suing the state. I'm suing them in their personal capacity. They better hurry up and talk to one another, give me the $5,728 before the end of business on January 23rd, because on January 26th I'm filing this. But the next 2 days I got business in the Woodlands and other places, man. Okay, so I'm busy, man, but I need to hurry up and get this done. At any rate, we're going to continue now. Alright. By Defendant Officer Hernandez, supervising officer to Defendant Officer McGee Powell, assisting in the unlawful arrest of plaintiff Mr. Kennedy. Okay. And then extensively searching plaintiff Mr. Kennedy twice has violated plaintiff. Defendant Officer McGee Powell. Okay. Alright, you bastard. Okay. Okay, so yeah, man, when I'm typing fast, I forget to put words in there. Officer Hernandez. Okay, so let me come back here. See, this is why we're proofreading it, and I probably should have proofread it and redid it without y'all, huh? Okay. By Defendant Officer Hernandez, supervising officer to Defendant Officer McGee Powell, assisting in the unlawful arrest of plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, and then extensively searching plaintiff Mr. Kennedy twice. Defendant Officer Hernandez has violated plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's God-given right to feel safe and secure in his papers, person, and effects. By Defendant Officer Hernandez, supervising officer to Defendant Officer McGee Powell, assaulting and assisting in the unlawful arrest of plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, after establishing the facts that plaintiff Mr. Kennedy was on legitimate business as his wife, plaintiff Miss Bynes, caregiver and advocate, and under merit of law, both plaintiff Mr. Kennedy and plaintiff Miss Bynes was leaving on his and her own accord without resistance. And was not in violation of law. By continuing the unlawful arrest of plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, Defendant Officer Hernandez has taken plaintiff Defendant Officer Hernandez has taken plaintiff Miss Bynes' sole caregiver required to care for a unique ostomy wound created by the student botched nephrectomy performed at UTMB Galveston. Student botched nephrectomy performed at UTMB Galveston supervised by Dr. Joseph Sunstein, now causing plaintiff Miss Vine extreme pain for several hours, violating Miss Vine's right to feel secure and safe in a person. Now, guys, I want to show y'all something, okay? Not only was this here a unique ostomy room, okay, the ostomy was created by a botched surgery which led to an emergency laparotomy that resulted in a colostomy. Okay, the botched surgery resulted in an emergency exploratory laparotomy that resulted in a colostomy. Now, what you are about to see is actually the result of an incompetent nurse in ICU came in there, and the doctors had doctored the file, saying that Linda hadn't been out of bed in 7 days, which she had been up walking every day up to the emergency surgery, okay? Liars they are, but they doctored the file to cover their asses, and this nurse reading the file came into the ICU room 36 hours post-op from the time this ostomy was done. Okay, an emergency laparotomy, emergency exploratory laparotomy, resulting in a colostomy. 36 hours post-op in ICU, we get a nurse that's a floater that's not even working at UTMB all the time. She's like a temporary because they're short-staffed. Comes in there and starts doing these abdominal palpations, grabbing one side of Linda and shoving all the way in, and Linda saying, ah, okay? And I said, hey, I said, what are you doing? You a doctor now or what? Because she was doing this, she was shoving on Linda's belly. So, oh yeah, we're going to have to get a CAT scan and MRI here. And then she'd do it in another spot. And I said, whoa. And Linda was like, ah, every time. And I seen what she was doing. I said, what are you doing? I said, man, are you a doctor? You think you're a doctor or what? She said, no, but it's been 7 days. She ain't been out of bed one time. And then she pushed on her stomach again. Ah! And I said, 7 days, man, it ain't barely been 2. She said, no, and started arguing with me. So I said, I want to see your supervisor, I want your supervisor. She said, no, you don't need a supervisor. Yanked her mask down and got right up in my face, man. Okay? Like somebody there wants to fuck or fight. And I wasn't there for neither one of those. These people was killing my wife. So I went out in the hallway and I said, hey, I need a supervisor, I need a charge nurse now. I need it now. Okay, my son was there. All the nurses come running. They didn't even ask what was going on. They pointed at me, they said, I'm calling the police, you're going to jail, you're threatening. This is the result of that night. Now, they called the cops. I wasn't threatening nobody. I asked for a supervisor. Okay, they called the cops, and this punk-ass Hernandez is the responding punk piece of shit that showed up there. The same supervisor that had me arrested here. Detective Collins, now I stayed with my wife night and day, 24/7. Detective Collins woke me up in the morning at 4:30 in the morning to question me because this punk Hernandez trying to put a case on me. When all I did was ask for a supervisor, but I want y'all to see the result. Okay? I want y'all to see the result. What this injury is. Okay? Now see that? That's from a colostomy. That's because all the stitches was tore out on night number 2 within 36 hours of the fucking emergency surgery. But I'm the one that's guilty of a crime here. You prick pieces of shit. You prick pieces of shit. Okay, let's show y'all. This is the unique ostomy wound that I had to care for. Just so y'all can see that this here how, see now, a couple of staples have been taken out. This is actually a couple of weeks after the fact. After she got out of ICU and I actually got to bring her home, and then about 4 or 5 days later, you know, because they actually took a couple of staples out right there in the hospital. Okay, I had to pack it with silver alginate, silver infused gauze, okay? You see the wound right here? You see how it's opened up right there? You see this, man? Yeah, because I'm an abusive nurse, and I see you. Okay, that ain't all. That ain't all. Let's talk about doctors sneezing in their hand in the glove and thinking they're going to continue working on arterial lines. Let's talk about this. And because I stood up and said something, I'm the bad guy. Okay? Y'all have no idea, man, okay? But I digress, man. I got to get off this right here. I got to get off this and back to what I was doing, okay? We're going to have a part 3. I can see that right now, okay? Because I done, you know. Yeah, all right. All right. Now, I'm on 55. By Defendant Officer Hernandez, Supervising Officer, Defendant Officer McGee Powell, assisting in the unlawful arrest of Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, and then extensively searching Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy twice. Defendant Officer, Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, God given. Okay, we got that one. Okay, we got that one, I believe. And remember now, the night in ICU, when the fucking nurse was coming in there trying to kill her that night, because she was ignorant to what actually was going on. I'd been there the whole time, and she argued with me, told me I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. By God, I did know what I was talking about. It hadn't been 36 hours post-op. Yeah. Hernandez is the piece of shit. They all ran over there. You're threatening. Ain't nobody threatening, motherfucker. Hey, y'all can ask my son, okay? He was there. He'd just come to visit, man. He'd just come to visit. I got lucky he was there. Okay, after unlawfully arresting Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy out of retaliation for observing his First Amendment right, Defendant Officer McGee Powell physically assaulted Plaintiff Miss Bynum. Physically assaulted Plaintiff Miss Bynum by unlawfully grabbing Plaintiff Miss Bynum by the wrist. I'm going to put slash hand. In an attempt to kidnap Plaintiff Miss Bynum and unlawfully physically force Plaintiff Miss Bynum to receive at this point unwanted medical care from a provider Plaintiff Miss Bynum is with good reason afraid of. Again, seriously violating Miss Bynum's God-given right to feel secure and safe in her person. By Defendant Officer Zamino assisting Defendant Officer McGee Powell in the attempted kidnapping, in the attempted unlawful kidnapping. Let's just put that there too, because kidnapping is unlawful, baby. I don't know where y'all come from, but where I come from, it's supposed to be unlawful. Okay? By this time unlawfully grabbing Plaintiff Miss Bynum's free arm and unlawfully and physically attempting to force Plaintiff Miss Bynum to receive now unwanted medical attention from a provider Plaintiff Miss Bynum is for good reason afraid of. Defendant Officer Zamino has now extremely violated Plaintiff Miss Bynum's God-given right to feel safe and secure in her person. Violating civil rights, the right to due process. Okay? You know what, guys? I'm going to take a little break right here, and we will be right back. All right. Violation of civil rights under USC 42 in 1983, the right to due process. Plaintiff restates and incorporates by reference every allegation set forth as well as every prior allegation. At all times relevant herein, all defendants were acting under the color of Texas state law. After Defendant Officer McGee Powell consulted with her supervisor, Defendant Sergeant Officer Hernandez, Officer McGee Powell, over an hour after the fact, unlawfully solicited a complaint from the state employee by cell phone from UTMB UHC Clinic, Urology, General Surgery for the Class C offense of disorderly conduct by language against Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy, violating Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's right to due process in several ways, including but not limited to the right to know exactly how, why, and who is an alleged plaintiff, causing Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's arrest at the time of arrest, and the right of Class C before it can be charged as an offense. It has to be seen by the officer, and the officer cannot be the plaintiff or / victim in a disorderly for legal redress by a citizen protected under the First Amendment. Another citizen, when protected redress government officials, and including profanity not constituting fighting words and or vulgarity, cannot claim offense when it is a lawful redress to a government official in their professional capacity. Plaintiff Mr. Kennedy's right to due process has been violated here in several ways. Now, I want to point something else to y'all. At this point in time, whenever Officer McGee Powell made this phone call, is when Sergeant Hernandez right there told her the trespassing is probably not going to stick, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have him sign, what did he say, a TPW. And I was like, come back, I said, what's a TPW? So I'll tell you in a minute. Then he pulls out this